Welcome to another episode of the Perry Thomas Show. I'm your host and voice of Fighting Tiger football, Colin Sheffield. Alongside me, Coach Perry Thomas. Coach Thomas, it was an abnormally warm day in the mountains in Pikeville. The Tigers just, missing a lot of key people and had a tough game, not really able to gain the edge over the Bears that you wanted.
Yeah, it was, first of all, beautiful weather for this time of year. Beautiful weather, and it's good with my joints to have some warm weather on game day. But, I thought our guys came out and competed. We played hard and competed. A lot of injuries. We just got a lot of injuries. A lot of people have them this time of the year. And us having this weird schedule where we don't have a break, it kind of accumulated and just caught up with us the other day. When you look at it, we was talking, before we come on the air, defensively in our box, I think we had 2 starting defensive linemen out. And our top 4 of our top linebackers, inside and outside linebackers, were out of the game. So now you're playing with your second and third teamers against a very, very good Pikeville team. And then offensively, your 3 of your starting offensive linemen are out. And that factors also. Your starting quarterback, although, Jagger Gillis is playing really well, but your starting QB's out also. So all that factors in the game. You're getting a little beat up, and then you're on the road playing up against a very good football team. Took the lead early, and I thought our guys came out to play, and then we just made some critical mistakes once again that you can't make against a decent team, and they exploded and was able to beat us at the end.
Tigers started out on a 10-0 run. It seemed like, you finally got those slow starts behind you, and then they just went on a 20-point run,
right,
and then matched it, and then it never seemed like every time you got close to them, it's like, especially the one that comes to mind for me, you had them on the 4th down, they were punting away, and then the offsides comes.
Yeah.
And so then they get the ball back, fresh set of downs, and then another offsides, free play,
Yeah.
they bomb it down. And chunk plays were the name of the game in this one for the Pikeville offense.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing that kills us is the little mistakes, and that's part of the process, though. It's part of the maturation process. So you think about it, the game was really tight. Then we had the block punt, and the block punt gives them the ball down in the the 6-yard line, something like that, and now they're able to get a little cushion. But we come out, we get some stops, and then we jump off sides on the 4th and 4 when they're lined up to punt, which very rare you see people jump off sides on a punt. They're getting ready to punt. You sit in there, they're going to try to get you off sides. We jump off sides, and then we come back and do it on the series. And for whatever reason, our guys understand you've got to keep playing. And all we have to do when we jump off sides up front, just touch the guy, and the play is blown dead. And we didn't. And they throw a bomb touchdown. But you're right. They hit us with some big plays that were the difference in the game off our mistakes. We hit them with the same little post that they hit us with. I think twice for big 28, 30-yard games. They make the tackle. They hit us with it twice, and they score touchdowns, And probably the thing that bothered me the most, other than the offsides calls, penalties, was we got scored on 2 screens, and, you just shouldn't get scored on a screen. One was about a 60-yard run or so. So those things bother me as much as anything. I
think one of the big stats that I saw was both teams had over 600 yards of total offense. It was a shootout for sure. Yes. The Tigers had about 616 yards of total offense in about 96 plays. They had 663 yards, I believe, in just about 64 plays. So 30 plays less, and you're out yardaging. I mean, it was some 80-yard touchdowns in there, and it's hard to compete. You talked about the missing defense, and an air raid offense has all day to throw, and it's just tough to cover a receiver for that long.
Yeah, we got to get better pressure, which we did early in the year, but some of those guys are out. So other guys have to generate the pressure. But also, we got to cover better. And we didn't, our fundamentals, when I know they're young, but at some point you're not young. Our fundamentals have to be better back there on covering simple routes. Teams aren't running combo routes. They're not running, routes where a guy comes in and a guy goes out and all of a sudden you're lost in coverage. We'll see that some this week. They're just running simple go balls, post, those type of deals. He catches it, make the tackle. It's that simple. Make the stinking tackle. But, I was very proud of our offense. Our offense stepped up and was, they were balling. And the problem is when you're in a game like that, you can't take a breath and miss one. So you have to almost score every time you get the ball because it looks like you're not going to stop them. And when we got toward the fourth quarter, my decisions were going to be, all right, every time we score now, we're going onside it. Even though we haven't been successful on onside, but it was one of those things where if we give them the ball there at the 50 and they score, all right, we get the ball quicker. But, we might get the ball. But right now we're kicking it deep and they're scoring, so we may as well take a shot. And unfortunately, we didn't score after that point. But I thought our offense came out and ran the ball a little bit and hit screens and threw the ball downfield. And I thought Jagger and Saller had some really big games. So I was proud that our offense came out and competed. We just have to be able to slow some people up, and it's so amazing. And I know we're beat up a little, but it's so amazing. We can go out against a Bethel team, number 6 in the country, and a number 3 Lindsay, and we can compete with them defensively. And then we go out against UPike, who's a very good offensive team, and they got their starting quarterback back. But, we give them 66 points or whatever it was. So, we got to be better than that. We'll
talk about some of those big games real quick as we look at the box score. The Tigers lose 66-41 on the road. Jagger Gillis, 39 for 60, 495 yards and 3 touchdowns. That actually moves him to first all-time in passing completions, passing Hunter Brown, his own coach, in passing completions in a game. He's also 4th on the list in passing yards behind Brown, who's 1, 2, and 3. And then Andre Seiler, 10 catches, 198 yards, 3 touchdowns. That puts him tied for second with several receivers, including Shepperson for touchdown receptions in a game, and third passing Shepperson for receiving yards in a game. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Brumfield with 7 tackles and that interception to help kind of set up the offense to get moving. The offense looked great. For once, I think we can really say that they got into the rhythm, and I really appreciated the deep shots going with Seiler, who was just able to look like he played in slow motion out there.
Yeah, I thought the offense, I thought they had a great plan, and I thought they did some good things. And you got to take some shots every now and then. We've talked about that. We need to take a few more shots. And I also thought, we didn't run for a ton of yards, but we ran it well enough to where our team couldn't just pass stunt. They had to run some run stunts and so forth. So that helps us also. But I thought they did a great job. And once again, Seiler had a tremendous game. He was just catching everything. Thought he had a chance to be the NCCAA Player of the Week offensively because he had one of the best games in the country. But I thought the offense did a real good job of playing well. And kicking game, other than the block punt and the offsides penalty, we covered well, and I thought we did a good job in that. Defensively, we just didn't do a good job. And now we got to go back to the drawing board and come back against one of the top-ranked teams in the country and do better.
Well, we'll let you take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll sit down with wide receiver coach Lamont Johnson when we get back here on the Perry Thomas Show.
If you love them enough to relearn math so you can teach them math, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
We are champions of character.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go. Never gonna let
Welcome back to the Perry Thomas Show. With me, I have wide receiver coach Lamont Johnson. Coach Johnson, it's good to have you here. It's your first year at CU, so your first football season, and it's been you had a pretty good start. The Tigers a little bit on a slide, but you all are showing the improvement, and I think the wide receivers are just playing out of their minds.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my first year here has been very interesting and welcoming. Like I said, I'm glad to be here. Trying to get things back rolling to how it used to be. Back when I was playing in 2017, not here, but Campbellsville had a rich tradition of winning, scoring a lot of points, and their receiver room was really good. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I'm just trying to get back to the way things used to be.
So with this being your first year here, I'll have you introduce yourself, a little bit about where you're coming from, a little bit of your coaching experience, and what led you here to CU.
Okay. Well, again, Lamont Johnson, coach the wide receivers here. My players call me Coach Monty, and I've been coaching for 7 years. I started my coaching career at St. Ambrose University 2017. I was a graduate assistant under Mike Magistrelli, and I was the wide receivers coach there. Got my master's in leadership, and then from there I pursued a restricted earnings position at Trinity International, coaching quarterbacks. That was a short stint for me due to COVID, and COVID sent me back home. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, so from there I got a call to coach the slot receivers and go back to school as a graduate assistant at Concordia, Ann Arbor. Which is a top NAIA program. I had some success there, back-to-back conference champions. First time in school history was 2020, so it's nice to be a part of that. And then from there, I actually got hired as a head coach at my old JUCO, Vermilion Community College. I was there for a month. Some things kind of just didn't work out the way that it did. Coach Thomas gave me a call, offered a position, and I took it. So now I'm back coaching the full receiver room. And like I said, I'm just trying to get things back going to the way things used to be back in the day here.
So now you played football back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You were a wide receiver?
Yes, sir. Yep. So I went to Vermilion Community College in 2015. I graduated from there with my liberal arts degree. I was an all-conference receiver there. Transferred to Waldorf University. Was an all-conference receiver there. Had a little success, tried out for a couple pro teams and CFL teams, and then that's what kind of opened up the doors for coaching.
So bouncing around, team to team a little bit, you've seen a lot of different probably philosophies, if I had to guess, a lot of different schemes, a lot of different everything. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you take in now coaching wide receivers here at CU?
I could say just being positive. Positive or negative, it could be contagious. So we want to be contagious in a positive way. Also communication. Communication goes far, not just on the football field, but just also in life. A lot of misunderstandings can be easily settled just from having a conversation. So just being positive and communicating is, two things that I kind of preach in my room. Now,
talking about coming forward this season, Siler has been, he's been great. An historic game last night, or not last night, it was Saturday night, excuse me. But then Luke Shepperson has also been huge, coming out big. Patrick Oden getting used in ways. McCown starting to get his feel into this offense. Mm-hmm. How do you coach up this many, I guess I should say, threats, and how do you use those threats specifically?
For me, I love my room. I think I got one of the best rooms in the conference. I think we have a lot of weapons and a lot of young weapons. I could say Pat is probably the most experienced in our room, with him being a junior. And then Luke is experienced play-wise, but Luke is only a sophomore. But he has a lot of success on the field, with him being a bigger body and, him being able to move like a receiver, but, block like a tight end. And then Siler is having a phenomenal season, and this is kind of his first introduction to the conference, and I kind of had a feeling that he'll kind of be kind of doing what he's doing because no one had a chance to see him, and same thing with Spencer Paul. You know, he's coming back off double hip surgery. You know, so, you know, for him to be out there and producing the way he's producing and being a go-to guy for us in the time of need is huge. And I'm pretty sure that, you know, he's happy with the way, you know, he's bouncing back from his injuries as well.
So what do you think makes your room of wide receivers so effective?
I think just our mentality. You know, we want the ball in our hands. We want the ball when it comes time to making a play. We want to be in that situation. You know, and, you know, like I said, you know, we just have a lot of threats. So, you know, if Siler isn't getting the job done on the inside in a deep ball, we could dump it down to Luke off a quick pass and he'll get 10+ yards. So I think that we're just a group where you gotta, you know, pick and choose your battles on who you want to stop.
And I think this wide receiver core has made it so easy on the quarterback, especially when you have so many people that you can just throw the ball up to really and say, you know what, go ahead and go get it. And your wide receivers just go and get it. I mean, how many tightrope catches did Siler have on that sideline over the defender? He plays in slow motion. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, you know, that's something that I can't just teach. You know, he's just a naturally smooth guy. And you guys haven't seen nothing. You know, he makes tougher catches during the week. But I could just say just his mentality, you know, and throughout the week, you know, I spent a lot of time with my guys working on contested catches, just kind of putting themselves in those tightrope situations. And I'm not the best quarterback, so, you know, those guys catch the bad ball that I throw, and, you know, that just prepares them for the worst ball that the quarterback's going to throw. You know, that's probably my best ball, is their worst ball.
You know, I've seen the drill out in warm-ups with basketballs. So talk a little bit about maybe how that gets started, because it might look odd to somebody that's never really seen that before.
Yeah, so I got that from the Ohio State wide receivers coach, and it's very interesting. So the circumference of the basketball that I use, like a mini basketball, is the circumference of the football. So what that is, you know, I'm working hand placement, eye contact, and really focusing in on catching the ball, looking it all the way into our hands. And my guys take a liking to that drill. And like you said, you know, it's just something that we do pre-game, before practice, one of our everyday drills.
Those drills have certainly worked. What's been maybe the greatest thing for you coming over, maybe the greatest challenge?
The greatest challenge for me is simply just gaining my guys' trust. I'm the 5th or 6th receivers coach that Luke Shepardson has had, Andre Siler has had, and they're only sophomores. So for me, you know, that was something that was big for me. It was coming in and gaining my guys' trust and let them know that, you know, I have their backs, and, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, ditch them or leave them or anything like that. So, you know, that kind of just goes back into, you know, just communication and being positive.
Well, thank you, Coach Johnson. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll sit down with Coach Thomas and talk about the upcoming matchup with Georgetown here on the Perry Thomas Show.
When I got the opportunity to get her, there wasn't no choice. I told myself, I'm gonna take custody of my daughter. It's my baby. That's what we're supposed to do as men. Take care of our home, build a foundation, you know what I'm saying? Love, our money, she's my purpose. I'm here to walk with her, hold her hand until she can walk alone. Ain't nothing like being a father in this world.
The family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter which you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to the Perry Thomas Show. Coach Thomas back into the hot seat. Coach Thomas, you take on a Georgetown team that's highly ranked in the nation and a team that is coming off of a loss to the University of the Cumberlands and a little bit of a shocker there. But this is a Georgetown team that doesn't allow very many yards or very many points a game.
Yeah, they play really good, sound defense. They have good secondary personnel, so they're able to run different combinations of coverage back there and get after you, and then their box is really strong. DJ White's one of the, he's been Defensive Player of the Year a few times in our division, and he kind of leads that box, but they have other guys up there run different combinations of four-man fronts, some twist stuff, and some linebacker pressure. And they just have the ability to get after you. The other night against University of Cumberland just made some key plays. They picked off a screen and ran it back for a touchdown. Georgetown at the end of the game missed an extra point that was the difference in the game. So, University of Cumberland just came out and got after them a little bit and made some things happen. But Georgetown's a very, very solid football team, well-deserved of their ranking. I think they were 11th coming into the last weekend. I think they dropped to 18th after the loss. But a very good football team. And it's a team that we can't go out and make a ton of mistakes against. We have to play sound ball. Those guys that are in there replacing, our starters have to get better this week. And we have to make good decisions across the board. Little things like offsides penalties in key situations we can't have. Missed protections on a punt. We've been blessed. We haven't had a lot of punts blocked, but we've had one last 2 weeks. And it's all because of a miscommunication call. We can't have that stuff to happen against this team. So we just have to go out and, fix our end of things and go out and compete the best we can.
I think it's important to continue that confidence. We talked earlier that they have already came out and played against very good teams with number 3 and number 6. Georgetown no different than those other two ball teams. So you just have to come out knowing that you can compete, throw this last game behind you. Your offense got on a move, carry that over, and hopefully you get a few of these defensive guys back and just stay a little stronger.
Yeah, that's what we have to do. We have to believe, number one, to come out and get a good start. And I was so excited the other day with the good start. Now, you knew that they were going to battle back, but still, it was a great start. So we weren't playing catch-up from the beginning. And we have to come out and compete like that again. And we just have to get that mindset and belief. And it's just a process. And I've been through it a number of times in high school. I've been through it in this program before. And it's just a process that you got to get them to the point where they believe. And the only way you do it is they got to win one to know, right? You can only believe so long, but before you have to do it to know. And we have to win one. We have to win one so our guys know, oh, wow. And then it clicks. This would be a great week to get that done.
It would be your last home game. It would be beautiful to knock off a top-ranked opponent. Now, the quarterback situation for Georgetown, they had a quarterback that's a little less efficient come in and play against the Cumberlands, and then they have a more efficient quarterback listed on the 2-deep. I didn't know if that was injury or something else. Yeah. Do you know what quarterback you might get or if that changes the plan any?
It doesn't change our plan any. I'm not sure which one to play. I think they're both are really good. I thought I'm not sure his name, but did a great job the other day against the University of Cumberland. Thought he had a good game. He made a couple of mistakes, but quarterbacks are going to make mistakes. But I thought he had a good game. He's a very mobile quarterback, but also can throw the football. Reminds you of the quarterback they had at Lindsey Wilson under Coach Oliver, the Deuce kid, just a younger version. But I'm not sure it matters. It's for us. We'll focus more on just us, and it won't change our game plan. They're going to run what they've always run under Coach Oliver. His system offensively. So it really doesn't matter. They have some really good football players, a couple of good running backs, and some receivers, and a tight end type that also they play out in flex. That's a big boy that can block and run.
Now, Coach Oliver moved over from Lindsey Wilson, and as you've talked about already, he has a little bit of the same game plan as much as you expect. Right. Does that help a lot moving forward into this game, knowing a little bit? You've seen him so much. Right. How much does that help in preparing?
Well, it's tremendous. I mean, because you know pretty much what the philosophy is and what they're trying to do. Certainly, he's going to have his own wrinkles for Georgetown. And the personnel is more important. And, you know, one of the things in college football, there's so much film available and so many of us are repeat coaches. You know, you had some turnover this year, but most of us are repeat coaches, been around a long time. You know what everybody's going to do. You can almost write each other's playbooks. The difference is typically the personnel. You know, it's the guys on the field. And that's what you have to kind of focus on, is the guys on the field from both sides, you know, and executing and getting them to do things right. But it does help to know, to be familiar with his philosophy and what they're trying to do.
This is a pretty senior-led team, I would say, for Georgetown, especially on the defensive side of the ball. A lot of senior and junior linebackers and defensive backs. How difficult is it to break into the wrinkles of these guys who have played so long and together, who could communicate so well?
Well, that is part of the challenge. You know, that is part of the challenge. We're still freshmen, sophomore, scattered juniors and seniors, whereas these teams are more senior, juniors, and then scattered freshmen, sophomores. And it's a little more difficult. You know, those guys are naturally going to be a little stronger. They're going to be a little more physical, and they're going to have a little more sense of what they're doing and how to compete and win. So, you know, the big thing for us is, once again, to focus on fixing us before we worry about them. They're going to execute their stuff. So we have to execute our stuff, you know, and we know that this guy is going to be really good. So we have to execute our stuff to the point where we negate what he can do. And whether it's double teams or whether there's chip blocking or whatever, we can't go in there and worry about those things. So they're upperclassmen, and you can tell their defense is upper class, the way they play, you know, the way they hit and the way they fly around to the ball. They get after you. But, you know, we play with a lot of energy too. So I'm excited about the matchup. It's going to be a nice night for football, senior night, you know, and get a chance to honor those guys. And I think we're recognizing the 92 championship team at the game. So we should have a great crowd. And you know, for the old time people, the Georgetown game is the big rivalry. Before Lindsey Wilson was created in football, you know, Georgetown game is the big rivalry. So I'm excited about it.
It's one of the broadcasters' favorite things. You get two of the same mascot, so the whole game I'll be trying to make sure I differentiate between which Tigers are we talking about here, the Tigers in orange or the Tigers in maroon.
There you go.
But the Tigers will come out for senior night. What does it mean to these senior players on this senior night to have such a big game?
Well, I mean, I think it's huge. You know, as a senior, you always want to go out with a win on your final game on that field. And it kind of, you know, is the finality of your career as a college football player. Very few will go on and play anywhere else. And so, you know, it's an emotional night. But it's a fun night, and it's one that you want to go out and get a victory. And these guys deserve it. They've been through a rough time. You know, there's a time where our seniors came through here, and all they did was win. And, you know, the last few years, we've struggled to win. And, you know, the credit to these guys is they've stood the test of time, and they've faced all the naysayers, and they faced the Sunday mornings of getting up with losses and the rebuilding and so forth. And they've come back each day and stepped on the field to compete. So very proud of these guys, and you know, I'm hungry for them to go out and get a big victory this week.
Well, thank you, Coach Thomas, and thanks to Coach Lamont Johnson for coming in and sitting down with us. The Tigers will take on Georgetown, about number 18, at 6 o'clock this Saturday at Finley Stadium. So be sure to come out, get your tickets, join us in the crowd. If you can't be there, you can join us on our YouTube page on CU Sports Network and follow the game coverage on 88.7 The Tiger or on CampbellsvilleTigers.com for the stream. I'm Colin Sheffield. Thanks for joining the Perry Thomas Show.